From Nebraska's trusted news source, this is Channel 8 News at 5.
Coming up tonight on the news, Lincoln Public Schools is seeing its highest case numbers of COVID since November.
Plus, after the kitten was found left out in the bitter cold, a reminder to keep your pets safe. But first.
1 year ago today, the U.S. Capitol was under attack. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. President Biden delivering a forceful speech at the Capitol today, marking the first anniversary of the January 6th insurrection.
The president speaking from Statuary Hall, where rioters invaded the Capitol. ABC's Faith Boubé is in Washington at the Capitol with more.
And what some say was his best and most forceful speech yet about the January 6th insurrection.
We must be absolutely clear about what is true and what is a lie.
President Biden blasting former President Donald Trump's, quote, web of lies that led to last year's deadly Capitol attack. He did so without once mentioning Trump by name.
Because his bruised ego matters more to him than our democracy or our Constitution. He can't accept he lost.
The president also criticizing the violent mob of Trump supporters who stormed the U.S. Capitol a year ago for threatening American democracy. Some of them using chemical irritants and armed with flagpoles as weapons when they stormed the U.S. Capitol, even erecting a gallows on the Capitol grounds while chanting. Some of the police officers who defended the Capitol and our democracy that day sharing their harrowing stories with ABC's David Muir.
It crossed my mind at the time that, this might be it.
In the House chamber, Democrats pausing for a moment of silence and adding their stories.
I was within 30 feet of these nasty, bigoted insurrectionists.
Republican lawmakers, including those who'd condemned the violence a year ago, absent from the memorial ceremonies today, except Liz Cheney, co-chair of the House committee investigating January 6. Her father, former Vice President Dick Cheney, by her side, saying he's, quote, deeply disappointed with current GOP leadership. Between the candlelight and prayer vigils, Democrats also seizing the anniversary to push for voting rights reform.
We must unite in defense of our democracy.
And a few of the GOP lawmakers who skipped today's remembrances were in Georgia for former Senator Johnny Isakson's funeral, including Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell, who blasted Democrats for trying to, quote, exploit this anniversary to advance partisan policy goals. In Washington at the U.S. Capitol, Faith Boubé, ABC News.
And several Nebraska lawmakers were in Washington, D.C. that day, including Congressman Jeff Fortenberry.
You might remember we spoke to him as he was under lockdown in his office while the mob raided the building.
We will tolerate people marching and saying incendiary things, but when you're having people storm into public buildings and creating highly unsafe conditions, not only for elected officials, but other people who are here for peaceful reasons, this isn't workable. This is not democracy.
Fortenberry is in his 9th term as a Nebraska representative, and he told us that he had never seen anything like what happened on this day last year. He hopes this doesn't stop people from peacefully protesting in the future.
A year later, Nebraska senators are taking a look at that moment in history and hoping to move forward in a positive direction.
It's very sad that we have such, it's so hard to talk to both sides of a lot of issues nowadays, and the insurrection didn't help that any, but there's been disagreements on both sides, whether you're from liberal perspective or conservative perspective, so the shoe fits on both sides of the feet, but I hope we can get past the past and look to the future and work together.
Also from state senators today, the introduction of more bills for this legislative session.
But because this session is a short one, many are worried there won't be enough time to get everything done in time. Channel 8's Ariana Martinez spoke with a senator today about the short time frame and all the work that needs to be done. Ariana.
Yes, Speaker Mike Hilgers made some announcements today explaining changes for this year's legislative session regarding the time senators have to debate bills. He stressed the importance of everyone staying on schedule and having long nights to get through as many bills as possible.
Make sure we're strategically taking advantage of every single day that we have a floor debate here in the legislature. Otherwise, there's a high likelihood we will not get through all the priority bills this year. There simply is not enough time for us to be able to do that unless we're all working together.
With senators having to decide how to spend around $1 billion from the American Rescue Plan Act, almost half of this session will be focused on how to disperse it.
It's a short session, 60-day session, but actually we'll only have about half of the session to really do bills other than bills that have to do with ARPA spending.
Debate times, specifically for A bills, which deals with funding that particular appropriation bill, will see a change this legislative session. Instead of the typical 8 hours each, it will be cut down to just 1.
A bills will be just 1 hour, with the exception if it actually is a somewhat complicated A bill, we will do 2 hours. But in my experience in the legislature, there has not been an A bill that I can recall that on the substance ever required more than an hour to talk through.
We're going to go late nights quite a bit, it sounds like, and long days. So we'll try and get all or as many as possible done, but just physically in the amount of time we have, we won't get to everything.
The heartbeat bill, which would make abortion illegal if a heartbeat can be detected from a fetus, is expected to have heavy debate, as most senators feel strongly one way or another.
That's a very important bill, and we'll have time to do it. It's controversial, so we'll take the time.
Now, the Speaker explained the public comment session will mirror the changes from last year, as they were able to hear from around 1,000 people. Senators will meet on Friday to learn how to best utilize this new system.
All right, Ariana Martinez reporting from the Capitol. Thank you so much for that update. The doors to enter the West Chamber there at the Capitol, which is where senators meet for the legislature, they were closed for the first time in years.
Many senators have never seen them closed during their time serving in the unicameral. The reason they remained open is partially to symbolize the open door policy, but also because they were cracking and needed to be replaced. Today, those new doors were unveiled. It was a project 12 years in the making and cost around $90,000. Senators were happy they were able to get the doors done locally here at Nebraska.
When we have work that needs to be done in the Capitol, we always look locally first in hopes we can find the talent here. And we have an amazing amount of talent here in Nebraska, and we use that talent first whenever we have the chance. If not, we go to where the talent is and have it done.
The doors were made at a shop in Omaha. The original doors are being stored at the Capitol, so if they ever need redone again, they can be remade according to the original doors. With the bitter cold we've been experiencing, it's important to not only think about keeping yourself warm, but also your pets.
In Omaha, a Good Samaritan rushed a cat to a local emergency vet after finding it freezing. The kitten, only a few months old, had frostbite on its ears, nose, tail, and paws. It lost half of its tail due to the cold and may lose it entirely. The cat may also lose its ears from frostbite as well. The Humane Society there in Omaha, everybody, they're recommending bringing all animals inside if you can.
If your cat is out and you want to try to get him back in and you're not quite sure where he is, it's a good idea maybe to leave the bottom of your garage cracked open just a little bit, some way for that kitty to be able to get into a place where they're out of the wind, sheltered from a lot of the elements, and also in a place that's insulated.
Now, when it comes to Rover, if you have an outside dog, be sure to have a dog house for them with a flap to keep out the wind, and be sure to always have a water dish for them with unfrozen water. Keep it fresh. If you see an animal in danger or freezing, be sure to call your local animal control.
Yes, it is quite frigid out. Meteorologist Rusty Dawkins is in for John tonight. Rusty, I mean, how high did the temperatures get today?
Well, we did get into the double digits at least, and just barely. Temperatures just cold. We did drop to 0, which is the third time this year we've done that, and we're only 6 days into the new year. But temperatures right now back into the single digits for just about everybody. A touch warmer at Southeast Community College at 10 whole degrees. Across much of the region, same thing. It's 5 in Central City, one of the colder spots. 10 in Beatrice, 10 also in Aurora. 11 looks to be one of the warmer spots, and that's in Hebron. So when 11's the warm spot, you're not looking very good. The wind chill definitely has a bite bite to it. Below zero for many areas like Lincoln, 3 degrees below zero in Lincoln and Wahoo, 6 below for Columbus for the wind chill, and 8 below in Omaha. A little bit warmer off towards Tri-Cities, 10s in Kearney, Grand Island, Aurora, and Hastings, but it's certainly cold out there. If you don't have to be outside, I would not recommend it. A little bit of high clouds in our area in eastern Nebraska. You look further west, some light snow trying to fall from the Panhandle down towards North Platte. We're not expecting much out of that as we head into Friday. Another cold start, but it is the beginning of a warm-up. Temperatures finally getting back into the middle 20s, which doesn't sound like much, but it is just the beginning. We will see these temperatures rebound fairly quickly. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, Rusty. And a close call for a Wyoming state patrolman was all caught on camera.
Yeah, watch this. Conditions deteriorated quite quickly across the state of Wyoming, causing slick roads yesterday. A trooper was responding to a crash when right here, the driver of another car nearly hits his cruiser and the trooper. Fortunately, no one was hurt. It happened on Interstate 80, which eventually had to be shut down for a while. Explosions were heard south of Lincoln overnight.
The Lancaster County Sheriff's Office telling us a large building belonging to a construction business has been destroyed by a fire. This was the aftermath this morning. It started around midnight just off of Roca Road and South 120th Street. Officials say no one was hurt and that it doesn't appear to be suspicious. Gas tanks and other equipment inside are likely to blame for the loud noises, but given the frigid conditions and instability of the heavily damaged structure, crews made the decision to let this fire burn itself out.
And still ahead on the news tonight, a look at COVID-19 numbers in Lincoln Public Schools as students return to the classroom this week.
Stay with us.
Well, the frigid temperatures are affecting where you can get a COVID test.
That's right. Nomi Health here in Lincoln has closed their testing site. It was outside of Gateway Mall, but it's because of the cold. There are other testing sites still available at Bryan Health Urgent Care, CHI Health, and local pharmacies, just to name a few.
Lincoln Public Schools is reporting its highest case numbers of COVID since November, 253 total cases since Sunday, with 186 students testing positive. Students returned to the classes from winter break yesterday. Currently, the highest weekly total of reported cases is 270 during the academic year.
Nebraska gubernatorial candidate Jim Pillen speaking out against UNL's vaccine mandate. Pillen tweeting, quote, "I have long opposed mandates at the University of Nebraska, and I'll continue to oppose them. My expectation and that of Nebraska taxpayers is full in-person learning without mandates that violate our personal freedoms," end quote. UNL also is requiring masks at all indoor events. That includes Husker basketball games until further notice. In national news, more of America's youth getting their third shot of the Pfizer vaccine after the CDC gave the final green light.
Also, this comes as COVID cases surge in every state, and now a new warning from health officials that some pop-up testing sites might not be what they appear. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
As the country battles a record number of COVID-19 cases, the first wave of Pfizer booster shots for 12 to 15-year-olds going into arms.
I didn't have any concerns because I put my trust in the vaccine and I knew that this would make a difference in our community and our country.
The CDC signing off on those third shots as officials race to get this latest winter surge under control.
We actually have the data that says the people that are showing up in the hospital who have been vaccinated are unfortunately not boosted. Boosters work because we're not seeing a lot of fully boosted people showing up in the hospital.
It's relief. Everything has a risk and a benefit, but when we look at it, this is the right thing to do right now to keep her safe.
Also taking precautions, those waiting in long lines coast to coast to get tested for the virus. But now a new warning from health officials in several states, including Illinois and Pennsylvania, where fraudulent testing sites have been popping up with possibly fake tests.
It didn't even cross my mind that this wouldn't be legit.
There unfortunately are those who are taking advantage of these crazy times to try to scam people.
The U.S. now averaging more than 550,000 new cases per day, over 126,000 Americans now hospitalized with COVID.
We have seen a drastic increase with regards to hospitalization. The case positivity rate is at its highest in Connecticut that it has really ever been. We think this is a mix of Omicron and Delta at this point.
Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Now, your Storm Alert team forecast from Nebraska's trusted news source.
Kind of one of those days where you look outside and you can just tell. It's just cold out there, and it's been cold the last couple of days. In fact, I was kind of looking at the numbers, and we've been at or below zero for the low 50% of the time this year. 3 out of 6 days. This is looking outside Beatrice. It's a chilly one out there. Hard to get that snow to melt when you have temperatures that didn't even get into the teens. Nobody into the teens today for a high temperature. 8 for a high in Omaha. 12 was one of the warmer spots in the capital city, and that was just for like maybe an hour. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Look at these single digits, a high of 4 today in O'Neill. So winter decided to show up, and after a very mild December, January has started way colder than we've been used to. Temperatures right now are in the single digits, 9 in Southeast Community College, East Campus, the airport at 9 degrees. Just about everybody in the single digits. Oh, come on, Unadilla, you're not at 44. Nice try, but you're not. 9, wouldn't that just feel nice? In fact, this is kind of it's a sight, it'll be a sight for sore eyes. I think many of us will eventually get into the middle 40s in a few days. The temperature, though, is hindered by this wind. We've got a north to northwest wind at 5 to 10. Not much of a wind, but goodness sakes, it does give us a wind chill that's in the, below zero in many spots. 3 below in Wahoo, 3 below in the capital city. Cloud cover, sure, been kind of out there, a little mid to high level clouds out there. A little bit of light precipitation from about the Panhandle down towards North Platte. This will run into some dry air, which is, well, we all know about dry air in winter. It will kind of prohibit from the snowfall from getting too frisky, but it looks like the snowfall will stay out to the west. In fact, Stormcast has that dwindling away by about midnight, so none of that is going to even make it into the Tri-Cities or into eastern Nebraska. Cloud cover lingers, but I think by Friday morning it starts to dissipate. Well, I have to zoom way out to see anything out there. Look at this huge area of high pressure right here. That will keep us cooler than average for one more day at least, till we get on the other side of this and we'll see a southerly wind, and that will pump up some warmer air. But goodness sakes, it has just been cold yesterday, today, and tomorrow, a few days in a row where it's just been bitterly cold. Precipitation, though, is going to be hard to come by. You notice by Saturday, late Friday into Saturday, a few clouds start to move into our area. I think we'll see maybe some patchy fog very early Saturday morning. That eventually moves off to the east, some high clouds. But notice precipitation is hard pressed to get into our area, maybe a few flurries into the Panhandle by Saturday evening. Temperatures tonight, one more night in the single digits between 0 and 5. I think highs tomorrow still below average, but getting better. Well, we were 12 today, we'll be at 26 tomorrow. So partly cloudy and cold tonight for the overnight low. I think we'll warm up to around 10 by early in the morning and continue to warm up to around 26 by Friday and then 46 by Saturday. Drop down just a little bit on Sunday, and then we slowly work our way back up as we head through next week. Some of those 40s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they might get into the lower 50s in some spots. So while, yes, it has been cold around here lately, it is going to try to warm up for us. I think we have one more chilly day with those highs in the middle 20s before we get, Saturday, that's shorts and t-shirt weather right there, if you ask me, especially after the cold that we've had for the last several days.
Absolutely, and once that cold snaps, it looks like a pretty quiet forecast.
Yeah, we should be in the middle 30s this time of year, so anytime we can get into the upper 30s and into the 40s, it's above average.
Absolutely. All right, thank you very much, Rusty. Hey, not a great day on Wall Street. The Dow falling 171 points, NASDAQ down about 19. Here are your numbers. We'll be right back.
Well, finally tonight, your New Year's resolution may be to find love, right? But what lengths would you be willing to go to find one? Well, among all the flashy ads in New York City is a billboard that reads, quote, "Date my daughter."
Beth Davis wants her 30-year-old daughter Molly, there on the left there, to find love. So the Boston mom downloaded the dating app Wingman and created a profile for her daughter. The reason, because Beth has an aggressive form of breast cancer and wants to live to see her daughter find the one.
You know,
I'm really hoping that Molly finds a man who has this lovely family, so that when I'm gone, she still has a nice, loving family.
I love my mom, and I always, I never had to consider her not being there for any of those big moments,
The Wingman team was so moved by her story, they offered to put Molly's smiling face on a billboard in Times Square. It'll be up until January 25th, and they've already received some responses.
I was going to say, there's the funny part of it, but there's also the seriousness of it and the emotional. So, yeah, kind of an interesting story, right?
And if she does find the one like that, what a unique, interesting story to be able to tell your kids and your grandkids. And my face was on a billboard to find you, to find love.
Exactly. All right. Top that, Rusty.
Well, I met my wife at work. Well, there you go.
No billboard needed.
No, none needed. Just worked together for many, many years. Temperatures are going to warm up as we head through the next several days. 40s by Saturday.
All right. Thank you, Rusty, and thank you all for joining us.
We'll see you back here at 6 o'clock. World News is next.
With the Channel 8 Eyewitness News mobile app, you'll be the first to know. Get alerts about breaking news and weather, all in the palm of your hand.
It takes time to make Amigos enchiladas. It's not the easiest way, just the best. Amigos has the faves you crave.